gotta lead us to higher ground. Higher ground. Through the challenges we'll navigate, helping them become the best and elevate. Oh yeah. Rising above, reaching for the sky, unlocking potential we won't deny. In the sweet spot, we'll pave the way. Transform the leaders, day by day.
Welcome, all my friends, to the Sweet Spot, where IT leaders share their insight with other leaders and others who want to lead. My name is Carlos Vargas, and as every week, I have my two co-hosts, Howard Holton and Paul Lewis.
You didn't say Grumpy Howard and Paul Lewis?
The topic for today...
Howard. The Grumpy is assumed.
The Grumpy is assumed.
Sorry, Carlos. When our intro song is playing, sometimes I like sing along and dance along. Do you get to see and hear all of that?
I don't see. I can see you. We don't hear it. I was gonna take my phone and I was gonna record you.
I may or may not do that again in the future.
Top 40 hit for all we know.
Yeah.
So another week, travel, stay home. Where you going? Where you coming from? Anything interesting? We want to shoot someone.
I mean, sure. I had kind of a fun week. Black Hat and DEF CON were last week, right? So that's Hacker Summer Camp. Mm-hmm. I did like 18 meetings and 12 podcasts. So it's really like I was wiped out by the end of the week.
I
wanted to do
from the social content being posted that you were busy.
It was awful. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun in the moment, but it's also really exhausting, right? I even did a whiskey tasting one night, right? Like I ran a whiskey tasting one night. So what I really wanted to do was come home and have a slow week. But of course, because I was at a conference, all the meetings for that week got moved to this week.
Right.
I'm boarding the plane on Friday and I get an email that says, hey, just want to make sure you have your hotel for Monday and Tuesday. Here's the info. Also, when do you want to go over your keynote?
Jeez.
To which I went, I have nothing on my calendar. What are you talking about? And she's like, the 900 people that are showing up to see you that we've been advertising on social. Of course, they didn't tag me in it. Otherwise, I would have seen it. Okay. To which I had to go, well, crap. Like, oopsie. I guess I got to figure out how to get to your conference. So, of course, thankfully, I don't use slides when I present because Paul Lewis would say, hey, what you talked about didn't have anything to do with the slides. So I just got rid of the slides.
That was an interesting background you had for the hour.
Yep. So I roll up, do my thing, get back on a plane, fly home, meet a new employee that I kind of put off for 2 days because I was out of town.
Right.
And then did another keynote yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. This one I actually had slides for. The slides were like, here's the topic, here's my name, here's a QR code. Like, you know what I mean? The easiest slides ever. Right. Yeah. And in the meantime, I think I've received 375 solicitations from vendors at Black Hat and DEF CON. Well, Black Hat, there's no vendors at DEF CON.
And what percentage of them did you buy from?
Is negative a valid number?
This week, you didn't immediately click add to cart?
No.
Wait, how many? Like, what happened? Did you go and you were handing out cards? Say call me or something?
Of course not. And there were only 2 that I allowed to badge scan me, and I specifically had them add the note that, hey, I'm an analyst. Don't try to sell me. Get me over to the right people to talk to because you're not in our reports.
Right.
So I was very specific. But no, I mean, again, I'm an analyst. I show up under media.
Right.
Like the fact that the conference sells you my data should not, it shouldn't happen. It's not a valid lead. Don't you want valid leads? I want valid leads. I don't want to talk to people that are like, dude, I'm a painter. Why would I need your research? I'm a painter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I was just setting up the booths this week. I'm not sure what
I work at a pinball company. I don't need research on cloud services. What do you like? Right. I want good quality leads, right? I grew up watching Glengarry Glen Ross. You guys have seen that, right?
It's not my generation.
Carlos, you've seen Glengarry Glen Ross, right? Yeah, right. It's Al Pacino, Alan Alda, like the greatest cast anyone has ever put together for anything. Right?
Yeah.
Talking about the good leads, right? Always Be Closing comes from Glengarry Glen Ross.
I see.
Right. I want the good leads. Why would you pay for crap leads? And I'm a terrible lead. I'm an absolutely horrible crap lead.
Right.
And they get kind of like aggressive, right? Loop back around on LinkedIn, like, hey, like, when can we set up that meeting? Well, did you not see my no thanks? Buddy, no means no. No doesn't mean please come back later. Please come back later means please come back later. Not right now. I will accept a come back later. Right. But no means piss up a rope.
Do you get it from someone else in the same company? We're like, hey.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
It escalates. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then the phone calls and then the emails start. And then hey, like, I'm going to guilt trip you by saying that you didn't read my email and you're making me feel bad and I didn't get a reply back. And if you want me just to stop, just say stop, but I'll never stop.
Right. Remember that time you didn't respond to me?
Right. I put in all this effort to send you a form email and you didn't have the courtesy to respond.
That's right.
To which I just reply, F off.
I got your name wrong when I submitted your LinkedIn message.
My absolute favorite are, hey, bracket first name. I don't mean that like they inserted my first name in a form. I mean, I literally got a form error where it still had the field variables. And that's almost as good as the ones where they do flat out get your name wrong. And it's like, I don't work for that company and that is not my name. Oh, sorry, it was a mistake. I was you weren't talking to anybody else. The shit is automated.
Right.
It's the lowest possible value. Also, again, to say the thing that I think I've said the most on this podcast, the only job of sales is to create enough trust that I would talk to you and eventually buy your crap. If you start with a lie,
right,
I'm instantly putting you on the not trustworthy bucket.
I find it funny when they will send me they'll try to add contacts, like add one of a company in my LinkedIn, but they choose the wrong company that I'm not likely a buyer for.
Right.
There is a company I'm a buyer for, and there are several companies to which I'm just a participant of.
Right.
It's like, what makes you think that title would suggest I'm buying IT at the moment? Because clearly the answer is no.
I also love the ones that reach out to me about a company I worked at 3 years ago and don't work at anymore.
Right.
Like, hey, I noticed you're the so-and-so for such and such. Cool. Nice to know your attention to detail is good enough.
Right.
To get either of those things right. You're not right in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It would have taken exactly 1 second for you to know that I don't work there.
Right.
So how many of them have showed up your house for the barbecue?
One actually showed up to my house with a barbecue. Now, I knew the person before. He called and said, hey, we do this barbecue thing.
Right.
And I said, sure. Like, my company's not here. I don't know how that would work. He said, I don't care. I have a barbecue. Do you want it? And I said, fuck yes, I want the barbecue.
Oh, I meant for a barbecue. You were actually saying with a barbecue.
No, I mean, he actually showed up with a barbecue.
Really?
Yeah, like it's a really nice smoker. It's
Wow.
quite spectacular. It wasn't a lot of money, but it's it worked really well. And I never would have bought it for myself, but it was like a thing that they set up, a promo that they set up. They got like they used marketing development funds to kind of set it up, and then every month they would do a different meal, and he'd show up to my house with a box of food and go, "This is what we're cooking tomorrow."
Jeez.
It was amazing, and we'd all get together on like a Zoom call and talk about the food and talk about whatever, and it was tremendously fun.
So the obvious question is, did you buy his wares?
I did attempt to buy wares from him, yes.
Yeah.
Like that, but I've known him for years. I've known him for like a decade.
Let's say it was insert other company.
No.
Would that have convinced you to buy
I
their
wouldn't
wares?
even answer the door.
No.
So I think that the question is coming that is people wasting probably their investment or their time when they get those leads, or is it that they're not doing then their job to qualify the leads? Which one do you think that it is?
I mean, the problem is I'm stuck with the sales methodology, and the sales methodology grades grades quantity, not quality.
Hmm.
Right?
So it's about number of contacts.
Correct. How many times did you reach out? Well, who the fuck cares? How much money did I make should be the only thing I care about.
Right.
Right. Look, it's one thing if like, hey, You've been here a year. You did okay, but you're not meeting your number. We've got to figure out a way to resolve this. What are you doing? Well, really, I'm sitting on my ass hoping somebody calls me and says, "Hey, can we golf?" Because that tends to work for me. You know what I mean? Like if that's like, you definitely want something to do there. However, when you're like, I'm sorry, what you really need to be doing is spin, which is what? Situation, problem, implication, and need/payoff. Which is you ask the customer a bunch of questions they don't actually care about to check the boxes that you're given. Why would I want to do that? Or metrics? What are the metrics you care about? Are you the economic buyer? What's your decision criteria? What does your decision process look like? Identify your pain and then identify a champion. No, why? I as the customer don't care about any of those things. And the way salespeople tend to handle them is they just ask you questions directly that are super awkward.
Like a 1-to-1 based on Medic to get through the
Correct.
survey.
Correct. Can I check the boxes so that I can literally fill in the information in Salesforce?
Right.
Right.
They have this big one form for their contact/opportunity, and they're filling it in.
A good SE is a good like enterprise sales rep gets to know you, gets to understand you, gets to figure out like, how does your organization work? They put in the work, and yes, the first sale takes forever. Second one's a little faster. Third one's a little faster. By the 6th or 7th, I'm just calling, going, "Hey, I need this thing. Just send me a quote," and then hanging up the phone.
Right. But the compelling event was your event versus them calling you.
Always.
Has there ever been a circumstance where a cold call to you has made you think, maybe I do have this problem, tell me more? Or is it 100% of the time you're saying, I have to solve this thing, I better reach out to people to figure out how to solve it?
So there's two times that it's been somewhat valuable. The first was we were in the middle of construction, and I'm like standing in my new office holding blueprints kind of thing. And of a local VAR walked in and was like, "Hey, we just noticed that you're doing a thing, blah, blah, blah. We're a local VAR. I don't know if you have somebody that can help you out. Like, we also know like the restaurants and everything if you're new to Denver," right? And it happened. I was new to Denver. I was new to the area. I didn't have a VAR. The one VAR that I had met kind of had no tenacity. You know what I mean? Like, just didn't put any effort. And these guys, it was still 6 months, 5-6 months before I even took an actual meeting. Right. Because I didn't need anything. I'm not going to artificially generate something. Like my knees were pretty mad on things. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I actually need something. And then the other one was I did get a cold LinkedIn message, and the technology was something I wasn't familiar with. And I went, that sounds interesting. I kind of want to learn more because I may need it. And I did in fact need it.
Right.
But that too in that I can remember in 35 years of buying, where for at least 15 of those years, 20 of those years, I've received 100 emails a day that just get shit canned.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll pull out a calculator and do it while you comment, Paul. I'm going to figure the math out.
So since that's our experience, and I haven't received as many as what you're suggesting. That might be because I'm in a different country. We have different laws, but let's assume it's a decent sized percentage of that. If they rarely, if not ever, work, why does it continue to happen? It either does work in some circumstances, or it's a volume business. Right? They're okay with 0.5% contact response, and then from that 0.5% of closing, and that's okay. Is that because they're paying, minimum wage to an SDR and MDR to get through this process, and
automation
volume counts at that point?
Right. All I can figure is automation, right? It costs, I don't know, 1/100th of 1 cent to send the email per person.
Right.
So I don't need a lot of clicks to actually get it back, but it's also the worst crap ever. Like none of the leads are qualified. So you want to take a guess at 100 emails a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks in a year for 15 years, what that works out to?
Look, I'm ready.
390,000 emails.
That's a lot of emails.
for two, and
Two actual.
email. One was an email. Only one was an email. The other one was they literally knocked on my door and showed up constantly.
So you were going back to sales teams and saying, "Don't do this," and their response is, "I'm going to continue to do it. Thanks for the advice."
Correct.
So they must have a response. Like, what's the actual? There's a reason why they still doing it, right? Given your excellent advice, you're providing it. Is there no response to that? Is there no reason?
I mean, they're convinced it works. We do it because it works. Well,
are we not the buyers that are there actual people that do respond to these in a higher percentage time, and we're the lunatics?
I have never met one. I've never. Every single peer that I have has exactly the same complaint. In some cases, way worse. In some cases, they get hounded way worse. But
what if it's middle management? What if they're also going after middle management and those people are answering the calls?
I talked to a lot of middle management. I talked to a lot of senior managers, directors, senior directors. It's universal. I talk engineers that get hounded, and I talk to them, and they're like, dude, I have no money. I have no budget. I don't know why they hound me, but they hound me constantly.
I'm not a decision maker. I'm an influencer, but I'm not a decision maker. Yeah.
So if that's the case, where do people get the metric? Because if it's not working, how do a sales team then will justify to their leadership? Let's say that you guys are the leaders that those people are working for. How do you justify that you're sending so many emails? Because I know that email works.
They're not sending the emails. Remember, they're not sending emails.
But they're trying to make a contact. So if I have all this list and there's, let's say, 300 people from this conference or whatever, and I send it out and I'm not getting a response, where is my return on that?
The return is I know people and I get introduced to people. It's still a people relationship business. And that's the weird thing. I've been doing this so long, it's very, very hard for me to think of anything where I want to buy something and I don't already know someone that I trust that can sell it to me. Right? Cool. I may want to use placement services. I may want to use a recruiter. Great. I have a Rolodex. I have 5 people in it that I trust.
Right.
Right. I may need infrastructure equipment. Great. I have a Rolodex. There are 5 people that I trust, 10 people that I trust. On and on and on. That number remains consistent. It's only if it's something totally new that I've never heard of where I'm that's actually kind of interesting. Maybe I could do that. But that's, again, 1 in 35 years where that's actually been the case, where they just kind of cold called and it worked.
It's just a weekend fisherman going to the beach and casting, hoping at some point they get a bite.
Well, and I have to assume that other people don't maintain their Rolodex, right? A prior organization that I worked at, they were their attitude was all salespeople are the enemy. Right? There's another company I worked at where the guy was like, I'm just going to price check you against everybody else. Well, you're defeating the purpose, man. You're just making more work for yourself. Right. Whoever gets DO Reg gets the best pricing anyways. Right? And what you're saying is you're telling me there's no point ever cutting you a deal because you're just going to go with whoever's cheaper anyways.
That's right.
So if everybody's in a race to the bottom, I'm just going to choose not to participate that way. Yeah. And if you buy, you buy. And if you don't, you don't. But I'm going to put the absolute bare minimum amount of effort into making this work.
Yeah, because there's no real loss to me because my margins are so low.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And if all you're doing is going to beat me up about it constantly, then I actually don't care. And when you get frustrated, there's no partnership. Therefore, there's no reason for me to go above and beyond to make sure that it resolves well. Because you're just going to drop me the second you find a cheaper price anyways. So what's the upside for me?
Let me take it out of the technology context and put it into the personal context. You must also, all of you, receive coupons, deals from your consumer electronics or from your grocery stores or from whatever you subscribe to. Does any of that prompt you to buy those things when they come to you?
I only use a coupon for things I plan to buy anyhow. I don't change my behavior because a coupon arrived. I will not speak for my wife, who uses wife logic to think that coupons mean it's free money.
That's right. Girl math.
Yep. And
but if she gets a discount coupon for coffee brand X. Will she change to coffee brand X because it's a couple dollars off?
That's a bad example because she actually cares about her coffee, and so she tends to not do that.
Yeah. Right.
But I also tend to be really loyal, right? Like I check the places that I buy from, I check first. The people that I deal with, I check first, right? I'll even ask them for recommendations. Right.
I will use some coupons or a discount, but it's almost a little bit similar to Howard. If I'm already on the lookout, I know when it may go in sale because they're cyclical.
Right.
So like I know that let's say for Black Friday, there's gonna be some things that if I need, they'll be available, and software will normally be available. 4th of July, if I need a TV.
Yeah, but even those are becoming scams now.
Correct. But
right? They're releasing TV models that are only available then, that have a specific SKU for that manufacturer,
Right.
and they're lower quality. And yeah, I don't even do that anymore.
So the more the commodity, the more you might do that, like grapes, bananas, like vegetables, like
for
flour,
sure.
like things that.
But there's also places I won't shop at because their quality is poor. Like I'll pay more for bananas from a place that has consistently better produce handling.
I see. So you're pretty consistent on these things don't motivate you to buy as a general matter, from personal to.
Correct. To the point where I actually don't understand why it matters for other people. Like I don't understand why you'd fall for that when they obviously don't care about you in any way, shape, or form. And so why? Right. But at the same time, I also don't shop at Trader Joe's.
Right.
Right. I don't understand why the appeal of it's just frozen fast food. I don't understand why that's appealing, and it's not inexpensive. So take 3 minutes to make a salad. Why do you have to buy a pre-made salad? Like you're literally saving 3 minutes and costing yourself. Like I don't understand.
You're not an urban dweller. That's the difference. You're a suburban dweller.
Yeah, but even like I lived in the city.
Yeah.
I actually quite miss it. I miss being able to walk from my apartment to the grocery store and back.
Right.
And I miss being able to walk to restaurants at 11 o'clock at night. And
right.
I really don't like the suburbs. I either want to be really rural, in which case it's really not an option to do fast fresh. Or I want to live urban. I don't like the suburbs.
Yep. Starbucks is 40-minute turnaround for me. It's quite the distance. I don't do a lot of Starbucks runs at home.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't do Starbucks either, but different issue. I don't like coffee.
So then if we take a look at this, what would be something that a salesperson or someone that is listening can then apply? How do you then reach someone that you got to lead on a trade, on a conference or something like that? What should be the best way for them to actually connect with those folks?
I mean, try being a person. Like I'm a person, be a person, treat me like a person. Like it's not actually that hard.
We use technology that we connect to our CRM, in this case Salesforce, that you can upload a set of target organizations that we know are buyers of technology. And from that, it can infer based on their searchability that they're looking at these kind of products, and therefore they likely have this kind of IT strategy within plus or minus 10%, right? So it'll say here's a 90% possibility that they're interested in Google Cloud because of these searches from this domain in this recent period of time. That helps us make a much more specific reach out to a cold contact with something they're more likely to be interested in versus random stuff. Knowing that we only have so much product, right, to sell, so much services to offer, we're not going to reach out to something they're searching for that we don't provide. We get a much better hit ratio comparatively. But as you know, you can only reach out to people, at least our policy is, we only reach out to people who have already opted in. Right? So they've already went to one of our webinars, they've already gone to downloaded one of our content documents, they've we've scanned them at a booth. Only after one of those events have occurred would we reach out and contact them. So
Right.
it's semi-cold. It's not warm, but this isn't the first time they've heard the name.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that we don't find that 5% effective, but it's got to be way better than fishing at the ocean.
Sure.
That's a good one. Fishing at the ocean.
Well, you're just casting, right? You don't really know what's out there. You're just casting. All right, so you are motivating sales teams to do something different. They're choosing not to. Our recommendation is obvious: build a relationship, right? Get to know the person, get an appreciation for their strategy, what their compelling events are, and then jump in when the event occurs. All that's true. There's clearly a gap between some of their behavior and some of our recommendations. They must find it effective across the spectrum, or they're simply saying, I have a team of people that does build relationships. I have a team of people that are focused more on leads and opportunities. And my hope is throughout that set of channels, I will achieve my financial goals, right? I've got a third-party channel that I use partnerships for. I've got a direct channel on my website, and I have a personal channel with my sales team. And they're dividing and conquering in their go-to-market. Do you not think sort of divide and conquer go-to-market is an appropriate strategy? Or would you go all in on a specific channel?
No, I mean, I think like 80-20-10 or 70-20-10 is probably smart. Like spend 70% of your time where you know the fishing to be good, spend 20% of your time on the like near field experimentation, spend 10% of your time on wild and crazy ideas.
Right.
Like that math has served companies well for a very long time and seems like it makes sense, right? At the same time, if you're doing a massive expansion of your sales team, maybe think about, how do you want that to work, right? Are you hiring? You have to hire junior people at some time. Instead of throwing them into the deep end and going, sorry that you're drowning. Here's some lead weights to help you swim, because that's what bad feet are. Maybe consider pairing them up in a mentor-mentee relationship, right? Maybe consider making sales teams that build over time. Right? There's so much activity that needs to be done. It shouldn't be hard to say, hey, teach this guy the ropes. Let him do the grunt work so he gets a good feel for the grunt work while you focus on the stuff that's really valuable, right? And then spin that person out at some point. Like, it's not, I think we again focus too much on managing and less on leading, right? And if we came at it from a leadership standpoint, all of this stuff starts to click and all of the stuff starts to make sense. Right. And if you were really customer centric, your sales cycles would also be shorter. I don't like drawing it out to 18 months either. Do you, Paul?
No.
Do you like sales cycles as a buyer? Like, was there any part of that process where you're like, you know what I want? I want to start talking today about a decision I won't make until middle of next year.
Right. I just want to be prepared with the content. Just in case.
Isn't it all? I want to go into the room, see it's such an obvious value that I can make a decision, instantly trust the people and go, cool, I can do that or I can't do that. And here's the date I can do it, and rock and roll, move on.
Right.
Like, decision made. Now it's just a question of timing. Instead, I can't do that. Why? Because you've surrounded the process with so much BS and you spend so little time trying to understand what motivates me to buy that I have to do all the work. And it takes me 18 months to do the work.
Right.
Why? Right? Get out of your own way and help me help you, to quote Jerry Maguire.
Have you noticed that you start to entertain a sales process, you have a buying date in mind? Have you found yourself not disclosing that?
Sure.
And why would you put yourself through that pain?
Because
you know the date to be April. It's currently December. They're going to hound you for 4 months.
Because I haven't determined that I trust the sales team yet. Right. And so I'll just tell them, no, it's like, I have no buying date in mind at all. Like, I'm not buying, I'm just researching.
Right.
Like, because because you haven't changed my mind. The second you change my mind and I go, cool, I can actually trust you. You can, I have a reasonable confidence that you can deliver the thing you say you can. Cool. I'm buying in April. Here's my budget. Here's the steps that are involved. Let's get started.
Right. So for you, that's a signal of discomfort. You haven't proven
Correct.
your value to me yet, and I'm
Correct.
not going to disclose this to you.
Correct.
Do you
Many
think-
times that I say I'm not in the market, I'm simply not in the market.
Do you think they read that
No.
as true, or do you think they think that's a challenge? Is it, okay, I just have to.
No, they hear it like
instead of building the relationship, they just try to convince you with more data,
correct.
right? Or burden you with more meetings, or more content, or more people to meet.
Eventually he'll crack. Eventually he'll crack. Just keep at it.
Exactly. I just
Why
have
would
to
I
one,
crack? Like,
I have to say that one magic term, and then he'll buy.
yeah, it's ridiculous. You're not picking a lock.
Right.
You're not, this isn't Skyrim. You're not picking a lock, right? You're not a safe cracker trying to get all 3 digits right. And then it's just going to pop open. Ha ha! We just stuck with it long enough. Ha ha! We just had to try every number from 4 zeros to 4 nines.
Or they just slowly creep the number down, the cost. Started at 1,000, it's going to 900. Eventually they'll get to the number that they're happy with profit margin and you're happy to buy.
Yeah, no, it's just not that either. Like, I'll tell you, like, if your number's off, I'll just tell you.
Right.
Right.
I only have
when I'm
100.
actually in a decision-making frame of mind, I will just tell you what all of the criteria is.
Right.
And I don't understand why more people don't do that. Right. Like, it's fine to be a mystery when you just don't trust the sales team. But the minute the trust is established, drop all the pretense. You're not helping yourself in any way, shape, or form. You're not helping the sales team. You're not going to get a better deal because you think you're putting him through the ringer.
Right.
Right. Sure. There are absolutely times when you can line up the best deal. If you can execute in the last month of the fiscal year, that is generally when the best deals are to be had. And the first month of the fiscal year, there's no deals there.
That's right.
Unless your deal is so big that it makes a substantial difference to the salesperson's year.
Right.
Right. Like if my quota, not that I'm in sales, but if my quota was 9 million and your deal was 7, I actually would hold, like, unless you're going to put me into significant multipliers, I'm holding your deal till the first of the year anyways.
Right.
Because then I'm on gravy train, after that.
Exactly.
Like,
Then it's a smooth
right.
ride from that
I can
point.
knock out 60% of my quota in month 1. Oh yeah. I'm definitely going to do that.
Especially if you're not going to club anyway, you might as well.
Right. Like, or if maybe I've maxed out my multiplier or maxed out my quota because some companies are stupid.
Yeah, it's capped.
Right. Then I'll hold everything because my company was dumb enough to cap the quota.
Right.
Which, by the way, don't ever cap quota.
That's right. There is no value in capping quota.
None. Zero value in capping quota.
You're
Don't.
clearly earning revenue, so you might as well pay them for it.
Correct. You're making money. They should also make money. The second you cap quota and somebody hits the cap, you know what they do with the rest of their time? Look for another job.
Right. Or sandbag till next year. Exactly how you said.
It's the same thing. I guarantee they're looking for another job in the meantime, though.
It is weird that the buyers aren't more transparent, both in dollar figure and timing. Like I'm just that transparent in like seeking a job. Right? Meeting one, I tell them what my comp is.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Are you? This is my price. Are you willing to pay that price? The answer is no. Great. That was a good conversation.
Yep.
I wish you good luck.
And I will then ask, what are you willing to pay? I'll help you find somebody. I'm not.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not a mercenary. I don't care. If I can, I know tons of people. If I can find somebody that's a right fit for that dollar, or I will tell you, I wish you luck. I will not insult my friends with that offer.
That's right. You
Which
won't
actually
find anybody with that dollar.
Yeah, it tends to be the most often response that I have. No, I'm not insulting anybody I know with that offer.
Right.
Oh, you think it seems like it's market rate? Sure, for somebody terrible.
Exactly.
I don't know people that are terrible. I'm not going to recommend you. Like, I'm not going to recommend they work for you. Like, that's awful.
If you want to hire a senior manager, no problem.
Right.
But
All right.
I'm sure many will put up their hands for this.
Absolutely promote a senior manager to CIO. It's great.
I'm not sure you enjoyed the result, but
No.
I guess
And
that's
neither will they. They're going to think they would, but they're not going to enjoy the results either.
no. They'll find out they have a lot more accountability and responsibility and not enough pay to support it.
Yep.
Nor do they have the skill set to actually lead the people or make the technology decisions. Sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yep.
Yep. All right, Carlos.
So
We've exhausted this.
yeah, so I think that at the end of the day, make sure that if you're in sales, and I know that there are people in sales that watch our podcast because they send the comment or we see them later. The whole idea is connection. I think that that's the big message. Connect with the people, connect with the prospect, connect with them. The senior leaders are people also, so connect with them. So in that way, you can go. And then if you're connecting with them, then there may be something else that happened after the fact. But don't email, LinkedIn, voicemail, call your wife, go behind, and then show up in the office because you're gonna end up having a big problem. So my friends, make sure that you share, you subscribe, and we'll see you on our next